Let's see. Do physically incarnated beings have free will and creative power, or is that just an illusion?
Of course you have free will. Now, you have made a free will choice also from another level, a spirit level, about exactly what kind of theme you will be exploring. And the theme is generally the person that you are. The challenges that come up are representative of the theme that the personality you've created yourself to be needs to explore. So that theme can seem like destiny because you can't necessarily change that until you finish that theme, but you have free will within that destiny, within that theme. As we have often used the analogy of a hallway, saying that from a spirit level, a higher level, you have chosen a particular hallway that you will walk down. That's your theme. That's your path. That's who you are. Being who you are in this life experience is the theme, is the destiny. But how you are who you are is up to your free will. Again, going back to the hallway analogy, you will walk down the hallway. That's your destiny. You made that choice from the free will of a higher level. But within the hallway, you are completely free to decide how you will walk down the hall. You can walk, you can run, you can fly, you can crawl, you can be happy, you can be sad, you can look in every doorway along the way, you can ignore them all, you can go upside down, backwards, inside out, whatever way you wish to do it. That's your free will exploring the theme you set up for yourself. So your physical life is a combination of a so-called theme or destiny and free will in terms of how you explore it.
And so I know I have a question about this. So when we experience going down our hallway, and you've brought up the idea of surrendering to your flow, what exactly are you describing that we're surrendering to?
You are surrendering to the vibrational state of the theme itself. In other words, you're in total acceptance of who you are as the theme.
So when you make the choice to surrender to the way your life is unfolding and to trust that it's unfolding in a beneficial way to you, even if it's not exactly what you prefer.
Yes. So this is where the free will and the destiny merge. In other words, you are presented with certain things in that hallway, because that's the definition of that hallway. That's the definition of the challenges that expose the theme, reveal the theme. But the idea is that you still get to decide how you will engage with that. So the surrendering to it and the acceptance of your true self is the idea of engaging with the theme in a positive and constructive way. Again, this is the fourth part of the formula. Choose to remain in a positive state because you understand that no matter what happens, even if you recognize it neutrally as something you don't prefer, still it's got to be there for a reason. It's got to be part of the exploration of your theme. And if you engage that exploration of something you don't prefer from a positive point of view, from a positive state of being, you'll be able to go with a flow of using it and getting a benefit from it in a way that will serve you, because you know it's got to be there for a reason that could serve you if only you will stay in the positive state that will allow you to experience how it could be used to a positive effect in your life. Because again, remember, it comes down to not mattering really what it is that happens, but mattering what you do with what happens. So staying in a positive state will allow you to get a benefit out of what happens, even if you don't prefer it. Whereas going into a negative state will only allow you to feel blocked by what happened instead of being more capable of using it to your advantage. Because remember, even on the simplest level, experiencing something you don't prefer, if you stay in a positive state, will allow you to recognize, if nothing else, that you've been given an opportunity to see what you don't prefer so that you can understand what you do prefer more clearly by contrast. And that's a positive way to use what you don't prefer. And when you use it up, when you learn the lesson of why it's there from a positive point of view, most likely it will fade away because it has now served its purpose and you can continue to move forward. Whereas if you give it a negative meaning, this doesn't belong in my life, this is not what I wanted, something is wrong, then all you're doing is creating a vibration that sticks you firmly right there in that position in the hallway until you get the point. of why it happened to begin with and what you can learn from it and how it can benefit you by being there.
So even if you experience some form of loss, if you have the basic understanding that everything happens for a positive reason, and you allow
Everything can be
used in a
in a
positive
positive way. I just said it's there for a reason.
Right.
It's up to you to determine what that reason is.
And then that allows you to stay in touch with your own flow and
Yes.
see how that can be a beneficial experience, even if you didn't enjoy having it initially.
Well, again, it's not about not enjoying it. It's about recognizing that it can be used to your benefit. And if you recognize that more quickly and more quickly and more quickly, then you simply come from a neutral, balanced state, and you can actually then start to enjoy anything that happens, even if it's what you don't prefer, because you will know you can use it in a way that you would enjoy to.
And it really can show you that something better can happen. Like it will
Yes.
bring up things like that. Like,
Yes.
oh, well, this was going to be the best thing that, and actually by trusting that if negative synchronicity is serving you,
Yes,
by not allowing you to have a certain experience that you thought you wanted,
correct.
then
It's guiding you through the idea of not only giving you opportunities you can act on, but guiding you by preventing you from being able to act on certain things that is simply not your path right now.
And then your trust in the unfoldment of your life and how your flow goes will make all the difference in the world as you're experiencing these lessons. So
and as you become used to this and it becomes your first nature, then it even goes beyond the idea of trust. You simply understand and know how things work. Then it's not a matter even of having to have trust in it. You simply understand that that's the way it works.
Okay, and then let's see if there's one last one to ask.
Yes.
You often say that don't invalidate what you don't prefer.
Yes, because that sticks you to it.
So when you
in other words, you're giving it energy, you're feeding it by invalidating it, because invalidation is a negative energy, and therefore it compounds the negative energy of what you don't prefer.
So when you say the word invalidate, can you express what invalidation is? Like,
well, in a sense, it's what we just talked about. It's sort of another way of saying, this does not belong here. This has no value to me. So invalidation is discounting the value, discounting what's happening in your life as if it didn't belong. And therefore, all you're doing is reinforcing your inability to use it in a way that positively serves you.
So, and I guess lastly,
it's like saying, I see a series of stepping stones ahead of me, but one of them is a color I don't like. I don't prefer it. So I'm going to invalidate it. I'm going to say that stone has absolutely no value whatsoever. It does not belong on the path. So get rid of it. Now you have no way to step from that stone to the next one. You have literally caused yourself to invalidate your path, to remove the ability to step forward by discounting the reason that that stone, that different stone, is there, instead of using it to your advantage, saying, well, that stone is different because there must be something different I need to look at here. There must be something different I need to learn here that would actually help me then go on to the next stone. But if I invalidate it and remove it from the path, then there's too big of a gap for me to cross. There's no stone for me to step from to the next stone beyond.
And so coming back to the monologue in the beginning, essentially what you're explaining to us is how to stay in the moment and appreciate whatever is being generated in that moment.
Yes.
And how to be in the state where you're not invalidating what is happening.
Yes, because then you cannot use it to move forward if you invalidate it. If you say it's worthless, it has no value, it doesn't belong here, how can you use it to keep moving? You can't.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You are
We
also
really,
welcome.
yeah, we really appreciate all your sharing, all the information that you give us, and giving us this boost to be able to shift to a new paradigm where we can experience physical reality in a much more positive way.
Yes, well, it is our passion and our pleasure to do so. And of course, the choice is completely up to you. So we thank you for that, our unconditional love to you all. And as another expression of our unconditional love and support, please now allow yourselves, if you wish, to enjoy the following meditation.
All right, good day, good day. We will now deliver the monologue for the transmission that we have called A Step Along the Way. This is for the purpose of allowing you more efficacy, more ability to stay in the moment along your path, on your journey, and allow you to have a clearer understanding of how your higher mind, your passion, and synchronicity work together to allow you to take the steps necessary for you to navigate through the different parallel versions of Earth that are more and more reflective of the version that you prefer to experience, or the versions, more precisely, that you prefer to continue to experience as you shift moment to moment to moment. The primary point of this particular transmission and title is really about learning to relax into the moment, of letting go of any insistence on the concept of a goal that you're attempting to achieve, a place you're attempting to get to, some destination out in the so-called future. Not that you will not experience the idea of outcomes and goals and destinations, but these things are experienced along the way. In other words, please remember this. Your journey, no matter how you experience it, whether in physical reality, whether in non-physical reality, your journey never ends. There is no ultimate place you are attempting to get to. If you understand that everything that's important is happening right now, nothing more important will ever happen, as you say, in the future. It will just be a different thing, equally important to whatever's going on right now. You can begin to relax into the now, into the moment, understanding that as your passions are presented to you, in terms of whatever form they come in, by synchronicity, that these experiences, the willingness to act on the things that contain more passion, more excitement, more curiosity, more attractiveness, are simply in the moment, there in that form to get you to take an action that represents the step you need to take at that moment. As we have said before, just because your excitement presents itself in a certain way, in a certain format, doesn't mean that that format always has to come to fruition. Sometimes it might, but many times it might not. At least not in the sense that that will be the next thing that manifests. Again, it may, but it may not. So the idea is to start really looking, start really connecting to the things that present themselves to you as opportunities to act on that are representative of your passion, looking at them only as a step along the way on your journey. Nothing in that sense is the ultimate goal. The only thing that is truly, if you want to call it a goal, the ultimate goal, is being yourself. And it is the synchronicity and the passion and the higher mind that allows you at every moment to be yourself by giving those things to act on that represent your true vibration, the fullness of your being. As you step from stepping stone to stepping stone on the journey, on the path that you are, it's very important to really pay attention to what is happening right here and right now in every single one of those moments, in every single one of those stepping stones, and really savor it for what it is right here, right now. as simply a step along the way, no matter how exciting it may be. Never assume, never insist that that particular presentation, that particular experience has to be an ultimate thing, has to unfold in a certain way. It is nothing more than a step on the journey of you being yourself, which is really the entire point of the experience. Yes, they're presented to you in certain ways that are reflective of the personality you have created yourself to be, of the way in which you designed, so to speak, your theme to be this person, this personality, this reflection, this aspect of all that is. Yes, of course it is. And that can make it seem as if this personality must achieve this thing in this particular way by this kind of time, or that something has gone wrong. But this exercise, this idea, and the meditation that will follow in this transmission this day is all about really relaxing off of that idea and really just allowing it to flow through you in the moment, no matter how it comes to you, no matter how exciting, how passionate you may be about something, not to lose the passion, but not to rigidize it, not to structurize it in a way that insists that it must unfold in a certain way, because you really don't know, you really do not know exactly why it came to you in the way that it did. And this is why we are explaining to you that no matter how it appears, no matter how much energy might seem to be behind it, no matter how much synchronicity there may appear to be, it is simply a step along the way on your journey of being yourself, which is really the only goal. Everything else is an expression of that goal, but are not the goals themselves. The idea of coming to fruition in anything that excites you is all well and good, and many times it will happen. But even coming to fruition in a particular way that the passion may have presented itself to you is not the ultimate goal. It is just another step along the way, another part of the overall experience of your unending journey of being yourself, of discovering yourself from a new point of view, of just existing in the moment, savoring the moment, experiencing the moment, being you as fully as you can in every moment with everything that's presented to you, no matter how it looks. Whether you prefer it or not, it's there for a reason. Use the moment. Use it up fully. Dive into it. Stay with it. Don't ignore it. Don't attempt to get beyond it. Don't rush forward trying to get somewhere else. This moment, whatever is happening in it, is the key to really experiencing the fullness of your journey, so that you are really validating and savoring every single stepping stone, every single one. For if you're not using it fully, then it's not there to support you to get to the next stepping stone. You create gaps that you cannot get past if you don't really fully appreciate what's going on at this particular moment on your journey of being you. It's very important for you to focus on the idea of being you. You may not always know what that means, but you will find out. You will discover it if you just relax into the understanding that everything that comes to you is simply just another step along the way. It's not an ultimate goal that needs to be achieved. It's not a place you have to hurry to get to. There is no clock. You're not running out of time for anything that's relevant in your life. If you stay in the moment and just experience everything that comes as another step along the journey of being you, then everything will unfold in perfect timing, and you can feel yourself going with the flow of your truth, sailing along smoothly as you go from step to step to step, knowing that everything, every step, is just another step along the way of the journey of being who you truly are. So begin to breathe and relax into this idea that there's nothing more important than the now moment, because it is the now moment and in the now moment that you will discover by your interactions with what's happening at that moment who you truly are. And that's the most important thing you can do, to really allow yourself to move through your journey, to be your journey, and know yourself more deeply, more fully, more truly, and feel the fulfillment of the reflection of all that is and all the potential within you that will unfold, yes, over time, because that's the focus you have. But you will feel the fulfillment as you go, that every single moment has been savored to its maximum, so that you know you have left nothing out, left nothing behind, ignored nothing, that you've paid attention to everything that's there, and truly absorbed everything that has been brought to you at that moment. Because there is nothing irrelevant in this moment. There's nothing irrelevant in this moment, and there's nothing irrelevant in this moment. Every single thing is the orchestration you have agreed to participate in. When we take you through the meditation, we will continue the idea of how to breathe in a more relaxed way into every moment, so that you truly begin to experience your passion, things you do prefer, things you don't prefer, interactions with others, reflections that you may get through synchronicity, everything that comes your way, messages from the higher mind, messages from spirit guides. Whatever it is that's happening, you'll be able to experience it simply more and more and more as another beautiful, orchestrated step along the way of the journey that you are.
Timo from Finland. On the Arctic Circle, I have experienced hundreds of times sleep paralysis, flying dreams, and also I have been many times conscious of out-of-body experience. So I would like to know, what does that mean? And have you got reading how many times I have been experienced those? And I have 2 days from this live stream, I have my birthday, so if you and your civilization can send me happy birthday, I would love that. Thank you.
Happy birthday. We'll do that first. The idea of what you call sleep paralysis can happen for a number of different reasons, based on not only what you mentioned in terms of out-of-body projection, because if you're shifting yourself to another dimensional realm, your body can no longer move in the same way that you're used to moving it, and so that can be experienced as a kind of freezing or immobilization of the physical form, while the idea of the energy component, the consciousness component, goes on or expands beyond the idea of its physical experience. However, it also can be something that happens when you are shifted by encounters with different extraterrestrial beings into a slightly altered reality in order to experience certain encounters, because again, it's similar to the idea of shifting your vibration from what you typically refer to as physical reality to perhaps another variation of it. And so, therefore, in being shifted, you are also being immobilized to make sure that you're shifted to the reality that is preferred, so you don't go shooting off into the cosmos. And also because, again, the immobilization may be necessary or simply a side effect or a result of the fact that you think you're trying to move in the same reality, but because you're not in the same reality, you have to learn to move differently, and therefore feel that effect of not being able to move in your typical reality as a paralysis. The flying can be representative of the fact that you know you are now moving through an astral realm or out of body, as you say. It can also be representative of some encounters with the idea of being on a spaceship. But again, it will depend on that particular moment. You'd have to take it on a moment-by-moment basis. In terms of the number of encounters that you've had, it appears that you've had at least 13 in your life that are responsible for that experience for that reason. In terms of the idea of out-of-body projections, it seems that you may have had well over 50, at least as far as we can read your energy. You may not remember them all because it may not be necessary to remember them all, but nevertheless, this is what we're picking up from your frequency at this particular moment. So again, happy birthday.
A little say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right, all right. First and foremost, we thank each and every one of you, again, individually and all of you together collectively, for the co-creation of this interaction and the allowance for us to experience through each and every one of you another facet, another perspective, another point of view and experience of all that is. We would like to begin this transmission by talking about an idea to give you more clarity on the concept of manifestation. It has been labeled, has been recognized by many different names in many different cultures, not only on your world, but other civilizations as well. One of the names you have given the idea of the manifestation space comes from your psychological disciplines and has been referred to generally, loosely, as the collective unconscious. It can be referred to that way. It can be referred to as consensus agreement. It can be referred to as the idea of manifestation space, as we have done by labeling or titling this transmission that way. But primarily, it is really all about what might be termed the primary belief. Now, the idea is as follows. First, it is important to realize that you don't have to learn to manifest. You're manifesting, obviously, all the time, or you would not be having any kind of a physiological experience at all. So you're always manifesting. This isn't about learning how to manifest. This is about learning how you already manifest, so you have more conscious recognition, more conscious awareness over the process, understand more clearly the mechanism at work, and how you actually transform concepts from a non-physical, higher level, higher dimension reality into the physical experience that you're all having. The idea begins, of course, with the formation of what we have termed the physical persona, the personality that is composed of the definitions or belief systems and the emotions and the thought processes that then combine to form the behavior of the physical individual that you have chosen to be, to experience yourself as. But in creating the fundamental definitions that underscore that personality construct, that creates within your consciousness a certain resonance, a certain frequency. That frequency then is translated into your reality as what may be collectively called a state of being. That energetic state of being, that particular consciousness frequency, then radiates, in a sense, within your consciousness, ripples out from that center point, just to give it a focal point for you, physiologically, to relate to, and is reflected back. Now, that reflection is not actually happening, of course, outside you. It is happening, again, within your consciousness. But we're calling it a reflection for illustrative purposes to make it, again, easier to understand how the mechanism works, at least by analogy. That reflection then encounters something very specific. For you to experience the reflection in the way you do as the experience of physical reality, something specific has to happen. And this is where the manifestation space or the prime belief system actually comes in. This truly primary belief receives the reflection and does something very specific with it changes the frequency, the resonance, in a very particular way that can be translated by the phrase, "This is real." Without that primary belief telling you that the reflection you're experiencing in your consciousness from the state of being you're creating with your definitions and beliefs, without that phrase, without that recognition, without that enhancement, you would not be capable of experiencing physical reality as if it were real. So manifestation begins in the physical experience with that prime belief that this is real. Now, as you expand your consciousness and begin to recognize more and more often that physical reality is your projection, is your construction, is in a sense an illusion and not really real, in the sense that it doesn't really exist outside of you. It is a construct within your consciousness. But by telling yourself it's real, thus then being capable of making it appear to be outside of you, making it manifest seemingly around you, in your life, in your physical reality. But expanding your consciousness starts to break that down, because you are starting to recognize and realize that physical reality is an illusion. You're starting, in a sense, not to pay as much attention, so to speak, to the prime belief that this is real. You will still pay enough attention to the prime belief, the manifestation space, to still have a physiological experience, but the idea of becoming aware that that's the way it works, and that's the way you reinforce the illusion by having the prime belief that allows you to buy into the collective consensus agreement that what you're experiencing is real, you can still make it more malleable, more flexible, even while you're having the physiological experience. It can become more slippery by allowing yourself a little bit of leeway to start breaking what we call the continuity illusion, the manifestation illusion, the prime belief illusion that this is real. Don't misunderstand, the experience of physical reality is real, but physical reality itself is just a projection, just an illusion, and isn't real unto itself without you manifesting that experience by telling yourself over and over again, every moment, that this is real. So when you begin to wrap your mind around the understanding that there is a specific space, a specific resonance point within your consciousness that we are calling the manifestation space, or the prime belief that is reinforcing the idea that what you're experiencing is real, you can now begin to play with it a little bit more consciously. Again, not completely letting it go, but allowing it to be a little bit more plastic, a little bit more malleable, so you can begin to work with it in more conscious ways and allow yourself to begin to manifest the things that are truly more in alignment with your preference, with your resonance, with your true signature vibration, instead of manifesting things that might be out of alignment with it. This will also help reduce the amount of processes that you might need to arrive at any particular point in your life. By allowing things to work for you instead of believing that you have to make them work, you will allow this manifestation space, this resonant point within your consciousness, to begin to truly align with the fundamental frequency of your being, and in so doing, allowing physical reality as a projection to become a little bit more transparent to you as a projection, thus allowing for more slippage in your space-time experience and the breaking, as we said, of what you typically call continuity, where things can manifest much more rapidly, where there doesn't have to be as much attention paid to the concept of time or space in which manifestations appear to occur. So by just knowing and just visualizing and just imagining in any way, shape, or form that works for you, this resonance point within your consciousness, this manifestation space, this prime belief where you're telling yourself this is real, and allowing that to become a conscious, or at least more conscious, directive that you're telling yourself about the reflections you're creating within your consciousness, you can begin to see things start to break apart a little bit more. Things become a little bit more magical in their manifestation. The increase in synchronicity can be quite profound when you wrap your mind around and pay attention to the fact that you have that manifestation space, that resonance point within your consciousness that is constantly reinforcing the idea of physical reality as a real experience, as a real thing. So the more you pay attention to that, the more you're aware that that exists, the more you may, in your journeys through life, as you follow your passion to the best you're able, with no insistence on a particular outcome, actually find yourself capable of manifesting things that are far more representative and far more reflective of your passion, of your joy, of your synchronicity, of your being, of your creativity, of your love, of all the different ways that you might choose to express yourself in positive and constructive ways within your life, by knowing that you're the one that determines whether something really is real or not. Now, again, there is the consensus level to this where you will not necessarily let go of all that you have agreed to in terms of playing this game called physical reality on Earth. And certainly, you can relax some of your agreements, however, with the consensus to start allowing whatever it is that is more representative of you as an individual to begin to appear in your life, to begin to manifest in ways that serve you, while knowing that when you do that, you are actually also serving the whole, serving the consensus agreement, because it's about becoming the piece of the puzzle picture that you were created to be, more clearly. And just being in that shape will allow other pieces to also simply be the shape they were created to be, so that all the pieces fit together more seamlessly, more harmoniously, more effortlessly in that way. Now, again, the idea of manifestation, as we will remind you, please understand again, as we have just described, it is not something you're doing in terms of bringing something from somewhere else to where you are. Everything is here, and everything is now. Much of it might be invisible to you at this moment, and that's all right, because it's operating on a frequency that is representative of someone that you are still in process of becoming. And as soon as you become that person, as soon as you match the frequency of that invisible thing that is already here, then you begin to perceive it. So this idea of wrapping your mind around this manifestation space, this resonant point, this prime belief, this is real. As soon as you start really playing with that and start recognizing that that exists within you to reinforce the reflection much more often with your awareness, then you will see that the manifestations will occur automatically, because you're simply shifting your vibration and recognizing what has always been here that is relevant for you to experience in your life. And it will always appear in perfect timing when you are focusing on that resonant focal point and knowing that you're the one telling yourself that this is real, this is real, this is real. But the awareness that you're telling yourself that, paradoxically, does a little bit of just the opposite. This is an illusion, this is an illusion, this is an illusion, because I have to tell myself this is real in order for it to be an experience. If you didn't have to tell yourself it was real, then yes, it would be real in the classic meaning of that term. But because you actually have to convince yourself it's real, that tells you that it's not real, it's an illusion. The proof, in a sense, and we know that sometimes you don't necessarily think about physical reality this way, but the proof, in a sense, is as follows. We have talked about the idea that you are really an indestructible, eternal, and infinite being, and that everything exists here and now, which means you do too. That there is really only a single moment, there is really only a single spot. That means existence, in a sense, is permanent. The fact that things in physical reality are not permanent should tell you everything you need to know about the fact that it's an illusion. That's why it breaks down over time. Because it is an illusion, because things that are actually real, like your existence, never change. They're permanent. So the very fact that you see things break down over time, disintegrate over time, get worn over time in your physical reality is a sign that what you're dealing with isn't real, that you have to actually work to maintain it over a period of time by convincing yourself that it's real. But over time, that loosens its interest. It loosens the bond. You start to recognize as you become more aware that physical reality is not real. And that's why even within the consensus, things start disintegrating, deteriorating, falling apart, because you're the one that has to hold it together to perpetuate it. So the very fact that physical reality is impermanent tells you it's not real. You're the one that's maintaining it. You're the one that continues to manifest it. And the changes that occur are the changes that are relevant for you to understand in whatever way it's important for you to understand that physical reality is just a projection and it's not something that needs to last. But you will, because you exist and you have that fundamental quality of existence. Is this making some sense to all of you? Yes. All right. So let your mind just sort of ponder the idea of the manifestation space of the prime belief, where you are taking reflections created by your belief system and using the prime belief to convince yourself this is real. And by realizing that you're doing that, letting yourself relax the reality factor so that it can become flexible enough for you to begin to allow it to align with your fundamental vibration sufficiently to begin to experience manifestation on a whole new level. Deal? All right. It's up to you. We thank you then for allowing us to transmit this idea, this seed of change to you. Let it grow within you at whatever rate is relevant for you in whatever way is best for you. In return for the gift you have given us, we ask now, in what way may we be of service to you? You may begin with your dialogues and questions if you wish.